It's a pleasure to talk with you. It's not very often that I get to talk with storytellers who are kind of responsible for a lot of my cinematic babysitters. So I can't help but be curious about the conversations that you probably had with Ong Lee, Spike Lee, and James Cameron. It's a ridiculous list, but was there anything that you picked up from those conversations that you may have applied through
Brother,
this?
you know how it is, man. You can't do something or see something and not be influenced by it. And I've learned, so much from so many of the masters of the game, like you said, Ang and Quentin Tarantino, Spike Lee, Steven Soderbergh. And then watching my friends, Chad Stahelski, Dave Leitch, come up, and watching how it wasn't hard for them, gave me a lot of inspiration and confidence. And I also, being paired up with a lot of first and second time directors as a stunt coordinator, second year director, to help guide them through the action of their movie, and watching what they did right and watching what they did wrong. Like you learn where you watch the minefield where the footsteps are. Like when you're going through the minefield, I remember, don't step there, don't step there. Mm-hmm. So every experience that we have in life and the road of life leads us to the path that we're on, right? Yeah. So yes, I would say that I have had an amazing, not theoretical film school from USC, but an amazing practical application on-set film school where in my business, if you make a mistake, you pay for it, with injuries and whatever. So yes, I did learn a lot from all of my brothers.
Yeah. Was there something that was most meaningful that you often plug into, or is it just kind of
it's all together? But you know who I used to stunt double for Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
And Mel, I call the 250 millimeter lens the Mel Gibson, because he said, "Hey kid, if you want to find out what they're thinking, put the 250 on there, and you can get in there and get in there mush. You know what they're thinking." There's little trinkets of like that from all those guys. Like Ang is so meticulous with his character work, and Quentin's vision of the I've learned from all of them.
Yeah. I want to get into like the science and the mathematics that's involved in pulling off some of these action sequences that you have, because outside of the astounding opening sequence, you have a really great car chase sequence. You have the final battle, and there's so many layers to it. Like there's things going on in the foreground, the background, and I can't imagine what that's like for you, looking at all those different layers, working with your collaborators to be like, okay, you're going to focus on this, you're going to focus on this, or is it just like, that's a perfect storm of chaos, let's just go with it?
Well, so just to be completely transparent, we shot that movie in 42 days with no second unit, which is a very short amount of time to do a movie that big. And we shot it during a global pandemic. So there was no room for mistakes. So I prepared with all of my shooting cast, all my shooting crew. My production designer was in lockstep with my action team, who I've been on the road with for 8 or 9 years. Troy Robinson, Justin Yu, Michael Lair, Eric Brown, my gangster brothers that we go all over the world doing these movies. We can communicate with looks. We don't even talk. We just go, like whatever. My mantra to my action team was, if we've done it before, we're not doing it again. And I don't ever want to say, well, let's just do the old. If you say it, we die a little death there. Taking the contortionists and weaponizing that and reactionizing that, shooting it in reverse with a magical frame rate that I'm not prepared to disclose to the public. Do your own work. I'm just kidding. There's a lot of tells there, a lot of R&D that we did on that. The car chase we shot very, very quickly. And it comes from, years of directing car chases, knowing what will work and what won't work. No, it was just having the right crew that I've, after 150 features and over 300 episodes of TV and filming in 36 countries, man, you just know everyone. Yeah. And I picked the people that I knew were going to be soldiers and that move fast. That was the whole thing in the very first production meeting that I had. I was like, everybody lace your shoes up tight, because we're going to take off running and we're never going to walk again. Like we're going to run from day one. And I ran that movie like a second unit, but the difference between when I was directing the action and we were directing the actors is, you have to force the action. You have to whip that horse. When it comes to the comedy, you have to let that happen. You can't whip that out of them, because they need long takes without cutting. Back to one, okay, reset. So it was a combination of, we were with your foot in the pedal, lift, foot on the brake, downshift. It was a combination of all of that. So for me, it was, after at my age now, I didn't think I was going to get an opportunity like this late in life. I'm super grateful. Yeah. But it also comes with a wisdom of all of the experiences that you had to know, not be to be humble enough to say, no, let's try. What do you think? You know, like Jamie was an ultimate collaborator. Not only is he an amazing actor, entertainer, singer, he's also a director and a producer.
Yeah.
And Dave Franco directs films too.
Yeah.
So having two directors on set with me that knew what it took, like nobody ever left set to go to their trailer. None of their talent. We were playing music between setups, just like Second Unit. We had the coffee truck, but everybody knew what it was. It was a short amount of time and a ton of work. And everybody leaned in and we did it. So I was very fortunate to have that crew and that cast.
Yeah. So that music that you were listening to on set, did that at all inform what's used in the movie or the tone of the film?
I moved to the Valley in 1990 when I got out of the Army. So the Valley for me was this trippy, exotic place, you know, like Karate Kid.
Yeah.
The first time I saw it was Karate Kid. And then when I was in the Army, I got down there, I was like, wow, this place, and I lived there. I wanted to capture the same feeling I had when I lived there. So it was that early 90s kind of rap music. I used Jamie and Snoop as to help me with those songs and make sure that we got that right and acquiring that music, because they're infinitely better at music and acting than I am, but also trusting my counterparts. And there's something you have to ask yourself as an action guy: is that cool, or do I just think that's cool? We had to ask that. I asked that about the music. I asked that about the comedy. I just took a good look at it and trusted the tools that I had.
Yeah, well, you make Jamie look really cool with Shimmy Shimmy.
Come on, he crushed it, right?
Yeah.
With the long lens, slow motion across the street with a little bit of a ramp. Yeah.
Yeah. There's two specific shots that I want to bring up and kind of ask you, like, what springs to mind with those particular shots and what went into achieving them. So one, going back to that car chase, there's maybe a drone shot or something, but you see Bud's truck in the lower ground, and you see two bikes in the top ground. And
jump down.
Yep.
So we call that the J hook. We were pushing them all the way around. We followed the trophy truck all the way around. Then we boom back up. So that's an impossible shot.
Yep.
I had Tommy Tibiata, who's my drone dude, the FPV drone guy. So I will tell you, we didn't have time to R&D too much of that. Did you see the shot in the car in the over?
Yes.
It threw it out of the sunroof?
Yeah.
Okay. If I get to do another car chase in the next year, I will reinvent car chases with that tool.
Oh, nice.
Okay. I don't want to say anything else, because any smart action director out there will get this and be like, I know what he's talking about. But we've done some R&D now. That the perspective of car chases is usually either mounted to the car, or a Russian arm, you're in the chase with them, or an e-bike that you're in the chase with them.
Yeah.
This gives you a perspective, the audience a perspective that they haven't seen yet, that you can be in the car, and then immediately out where everything becomes micro, and then back to close. So it's the only way to cheat speed is to be fast.
Yeah.
You have to be fast. Yeah. It's fast and furious, not slow and curious. And having directed a lot of car chases, there's no faking speed. Yeah. You got to go fast. That drone could go 75 miles an hour. So when you're countering something at 75 and it's going 75, you're at 150 miles an hour. So that drone is an amazing tool.
Yeah, there was this interview recently that Michael Bay did talking about ambulance, and he was trying to articulate like how he paints that on his canvas, where he's like, it's car, fire, person, and it's kind of humorous, but it's all based on feeling. So I imagine that's probably what it's like for you in kind of feeling that out and not going to those old ways that you talked about.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the perspective of the audience, when you give them something they haven't seen before, like when we folded the girl up on the, you can't help but react because you haven't seen something like that before.
Yeah.
Like, and when you're giving them a perspective in a car chase where you're in a car behind two people and then the car all of a sudden it's thrown out of a sunroof, and for me that's how we see farther. We're not just doing the old, you know what I mean? And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to take it one step beyond.
Yeah. Speaking of new, the mirror shot is so good.
Thank you.
I haven't seen anything quite like that. So it's cool when you step into, like, I'm a big horror fan. I like vampire movies. And so there's certain elements that are familiar that you get to play with. You're playing with tools that have been in the sandbox, but you're also finding unique ways to kind of push it. And so I haven't seen a shot like that where you see it invisible and then them in the foreground.
And then chase her down. Yeah, thank you, brother. Thank you. I was a big fan of that too. There's little nuggets there, my friend. I'm glad you picked that up.
Yeah. And another element that I haven't seen is that really caused me to lean in is this like vampire anthropology.
Yep. The genogram.
Yeah.
Yep.
So good. So did you just perk up as much as I did when you saw that in the script? And
So the vampire genogram wasn't in the script. We created the different
wow.
species of vampires. Like I said, we didn't have the time or the money this time to really like go big on that. So that we created that. You know, the Eastern vampire, the Southern vampire, the Uber vampire, the spider vamp with the crazy movements, you know, the speed of that. And so we created that like in even the bottom teeth and the top teeth. If we get a chance to do another one, I have a lot of ideas. And I don't want to give it up now, but there'll be all kinds of new vampires and new things.
Sure.
Yeah.
One of my favorite lines in the film comes from Bud, and he's talking about how you can't really follow the book. You kind of have to throw the book out of the way and kind of carve your own path right outside the lines. And so I wonder how much, I mean, you kind of spoke to it a little bit in how you've been tossing the book aside from the beginning, but does doing this film cause you to want to engage in that a little bit more?
Absolutely. You know, again, I'm super, like, I never expected any of this, bro. When I got out of the Army, I just can't believe it's happening. But yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you, you know, like if you don't go out and try, you'll never get anywhere. You know, you got to go for it. And I think trying to show people something they haven't seen before is our job. Like, you know, I want to, as far as action, you know, creating a problem and showing how you solve it is good action storytelling. But trying to do something fresh and new, and with vampires, you know, like think about Zombieland is the only other movie recently that has tonally that's similar, that's action, comedy, horror that I can think of that was good, right? Mm-hmm. Like there's some other things, but like nobody's really doing this genre ish.
Yeah, The Guest.
Yeah, action comedy. But anyway, I guess where I'm going with that is like, yeah, I would love to have another crack at this, and definitely try and see a little farther.
Yeah. Well, I hope if you actually get the opportunity to continue this, I hope El Jefe makes his way into it.
Checks in the mail, brother.
All right.
Foxx and I were already talking about it last night. We know it'll blow your mind.
Great.
Blow your mind. Just remember the Hollywood sign. That's all I'll say.
Okay.
Welcome to the day shift, motherfucker.